reality, a lot of women like guys with no hair.
But, well, in
They
reality...
use the same commercial for Viagra.
Yeah, in reality, women hair don't matter. And you know where I learned that? I was doing the XFL football that one year. Remember when Vince came out with the Alternative Football League? And remember those cheerleaders he hired? Holy crap. I mean, he went out to every team and bought the Playboy Playmates of the Month for all 12 months. And these were all the cheerleaders, right? The most beautiful women you've ever seen. And one day we're there early at the game, and I'm down on the field, and the cheerleaders were over in the corner, and they were practicing whatever it was they were going to do, and I had the shaved head at the time. And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to find out. So I walked over to these 12 girls over there, and I said, ladies, I said, can I ask you kind of a personal question? And they said, sure. You know, they took a break. I said, I'd like to know, does hair on a man matter? And the reason I knew I got the truth was because they all answered so quickly. There was no thought. They all these girls, and these were the most beautiful girls you could imagine. They all looked at me and said, absolutely not. It doesn't make any bit of difference. And I said,
well, it's the man. It's who the person is.
No, we're made, this is a male thing.
No, it's brainwashing.
We're made at a young age to believe if you lose your hair, you're somehow lesser of a male. That you have no self-confidence. Well, you don't believe it, but it's pumped into you, Willie. And I use, for example...
That's the difference. Willie is immune to the propaganda.
Imagine if they, imagine if they did that to women with breast implants. The outrage there'd be. If they got on TV every night and had all these ads telling women, look, if you go get synthetic breast implants, you'll have better personality, you'll have fun again, your whole life will change, you'll be more attractive, you'll be the complete woman.
Your tits will taste like chalk.
Right. But if they did that to women every day and pounded that, you would hear an outcry. You'd hear people saying, you know, lawsuits and all this. But with bald men, they can get away with it.
Well, now we've heard that the bald men rant, but it's absolutely true.
One of my best friends, who's a Los Angeles homicide detective, gave me a ride home one night from a thing in L.A., and he looked at me and said, you have to run for president. He said, you are the person that has to do it. And I said, come on, Dennis. I said, don't put pressure on me like that. I said, I don't want that job. Especially, I wouldn't want it now. I mean, be it Obama or McCain who ends up with this job, it's going to be horrible because they're going to have to spend their entire 4 years cleaning up George Bush's mess.
Well, more than that, the country's so run by foreign corporations and special interests, the president really doesn't have that much power. Well, he's got a bully pulpit, and if he was a good guy, he could change things and use the Constitution. But as they are now,
Alex, let me ask you this. What do you think would happen if I ran and won?
They'd probably kill you.
Really? Do you really think so?
I think
because I am a rogue. I think
they would try to compromise you. I mean that says who you are, but I trust that you're a good guy and you know who you say you are, and you have a pretty good record of that. And I don't think you would go along with what they wanted you to do. And they might be scared of killing you to make you a martyr. They might just try to drag dirt out and destroy you in the media. Yeah. But I mean, if you didn't go along with it,
not even drag dirt out, make up dirt.
Well, no, that's what I mean. Well, they'll take one little speck and then, or like 1% truth, or no truth. I mean, I used to think they meant that, like with politicians and people in media, they would just take things about us and exaggerate them or twist them. In my own little life, I found people now will just whole cloth make up stuff. I mean, just none of it's true.
Oh, yeah. I've had that already too. And I've actually had it printed in writing where the paper had to retract it.
Oh, I have too.
I've had situations where the whole thing was made up multiple
It was in the
times.
Dallas Morning News that I said, kill Michelle Malkin. And then I sent the
Who's she?
She's like some neocon host of Early Finger and stuff. But we sent the Dallas Morning News the video, and I didn't say that. There was some provocateur who was like with her as a joke, going, oh, you want to kill Michelle Malkin? And the Dallas Morning News had to retract that. But the point is I mean, I don't know, it's just amazing.
Oh yeah, you know what they got me for one time? They said that an elderly couple in Montana said I was out there and I jumped up on a table at a stripper bar and they had to physically remove me.
Just made up.
And that was printed in the Minneapolis paper, those allegations. And, and I laughingly said, I've been to Montana twice. I said I went through there when I was a child going to the World Fair in Seattle with my mother. And I said the second time I've ever been to Montana was traveling back from Portland, Oregon when I had finished wrestling there driving with my wife. I said I hardly doubt that I would have gone into a stripper bar on either occasion and had to be pulled and removed from the stage.
Well, no, I mean, that's that false image of just like a out of control nut when you seem like a pretty controlled guy.
Well, I've done my share of stuff for which I'll take credit for, but certainly when I didn't do it, I won't take credit for it.
Why did that couple make it up?
I think they were elderly, and I think that they probably saw someone with a shaved head and was big and reminded them of me. That's the best I could come up with. I really don't think they did it thinking that they were overly, like they were an attack squad.
I had the same thing. We lived in this neighborhood.
I think that it was a case of mistaken identity where these elderly people just saw this incident happen and somehow figured out or assumed that it was me 4, 3, 5 years, whatever it was supposedly earlier. I don't know. I really didn't answer for that, but I just said that's ridiculous. I have been to Montana traveling through it twice, but I said I can't even recollect when and where I stopped to get gas, even though it's a very big state. I'm sure I must have. But I said the only 2 times were when I was a child on the train with my mom, when she and my aunt and my brother and I all went to the World's Fair in Seattle, and the other time would have been passing through, coming back from...
How was the World's Fair in Seattle?
Great as a kid. When I went there, it was cool. The thing I remember most about it, they had a big container there that had $1 million silver dollars in it. And this was way back in the early 60s where $1 million was really a lot of money then. Today it's not. But they had this huge container in a room, and it was, $1 million silver dollars in there.
But $1 million silver dollars, even then was worth more than $1 million.
Yeah, that's what I remember the most about that they had this big container with $1 million silver dollars in it.
So I think the cover-up's the biggest piece of evidence that it is an inside job.
That certainly plays a huge role in it, and in the show I'm doing, we've actually shifted on that too, of saying maybe we should go and instead of worrying about presenting the 2 sides, is the show should say what a massive failure, not on the parts of the volunteer workers. You have to separate them because they did a hell of a job. Those people that went in there and worked for 6 to 9 months are heroes that went in there. But the point we want to get to is who was giving the orders? Who was telling all these guys to remove everything? Like, I'll never forget, Rudy Giuliani bragged 24 hours later that they had already pulled 120 truckloads of debris was gone. And initially, you as an individual go, oh, yay, isn't that great? It sounds good on the surface. But then when you think about it, you go, well, wait a minute. That's 120 truckloads of evidence that you see in hindsight that were removed within 24 hours. I interviewed one man, and he's an honorary firefighter. He's actually an emergency response guy who spent 257 days at the site and never was paid a penny. And he's dying now. He won't admit it, but he's dying. I sat with him. He showed me photos of the guys he worked with. They're all dead from just being down there. He told me about a year later, they finally sent him to a specialist. And they sent him to a specialist, and he talked about how they put him in, that first they found 14 different lethal toxins in his body, 14 different things. Then they put him in this almost heat box where all he did was drink liquids and urinate. And they sweated him, and he said they took white towels and rubbed them on my arms and they came off yellow. They were trying to get all the toxins to come out his pores.
Yes,
it was the only way they knew to attempt to do it. And the sad thing about this gentleman Mike's story is that he goes around now. He actually wrote their book 1 year after 9/11, before the 9/11 Commission, and stated that he saw them discover one of the black boxes, and his partner came back to him and said, no, we found 3 of the 4. And he believes his partner because his partner would have no reason to lie to him. They were there together. He saw one of them, his partner saw the other two, but they said in their book, they said 3 of the 4 were recovered. And then what caused him grave concern was when 9/11 came out, the commission and said there were no black boxes found, and all of this stuff, they never found them at the towers, and to this day they won't acknowledge that they ever found them. And this guy said, that's bullshit, I saw one. I saw it recovered. And he also said, how could they not find them when we went through that debris so fine that we were finding little bone fragments that we could then DNA match up to victims. He said, you're telling me we wouldn't find the black boxes even if they were wrecked? We would have still found the physical black box. And you should see what they've done to this guy today, Willie. This guy's a hero. He's a hero. And he was going around to schools with children talking about his experience that day, and he's got a couple relics, pieces of metal that he kind of hijacked from the site. Well, he's also got what was given to him, one of those oxygen bottles and units that all firemen wear, and he uses that as part of his presentation. Well, New York came after him and said that he had that illegally and that he wasn't supposed to have that oxygen bottle. They wanted to know what fireman gave it to him. And he said, I'm not telling. He said, I'm not ratting the guy out. He said, I will not. Do with me what you're gonna, but I'm not gonna say who gave me this. You know, it was given to me by a fireman. But he said, I'm not gonna rat the guy. Well, they threw him in jail for 3 days. When he finally got out of jail, it went in front of the district attorney of Brooklyn, and the district attorney of Brooklyn looked at it and went, what the hell is this? He said, this man came to my son's school and made his presentation to teach kids. He said, what is this crap? He threw it out, hammered it, he said, gone. Threw it out of court. Thank goodness they had a district attorney with some common sense. Mm-hmm. But the point being is, here, this guy worked 250 some days for nothing. And now, because he's in possession of something he's not supposedly supposed to be in, they throw him in jail for 3 days. Like he said to me, they lost 350 firemen that day, and they're worried about an oxygen tank.
Willie, what's your take on how they blocked the funding for the firefighters and police and emergency workers from all that deadly dust? I mean, why wouldn't Congress? I mean, we've been to Congress, have made a film about it. And they just say, no, we're not going to take care of it, even though all the CAT scans and hospitals say it's killing them. And this firefighter uses a 600 number. The official government reports a few months ago say it's over 1,100 have died.
Well, first of all, there's a long list of things that we could talk about that we don't like about this government, what it's doing and what it has done. And it goes back further than the Bush administration. It goes all the way back to other administrations a long time ago when this country started going the wrong way and started doing things around the world thinking that we were the world's policemen, and if also we were the world's resource gatherer. If there was something over there you had, we're going to come get it. We'll make you a deal you can't turn down. So that's been going on as long as I can remember, as long as I've been watching our government operate. So this is just one more time, I think, that they're stepped over the line doing things that they, as far as I'm concerned, that's not what I hired them for. They work for me, they work for you, they work for Jesse, and they're screwing up.
Well, I think that, like you said earlier, the people are finally really getting fed up, and I don't think they're going to go back to sleep again. I think the revolution's on.
I do.
Well,
I do.
I know, Mr. Gloom.
I think they're going to go back to sleep.
Well, if we wake the motherfuckers up,
Well,
and then let them go back to sleep.
We'll wake them up. We'll wake them up, but I bet they go back to sleep again.
Well, Willie, what do you say?
I hope I'm wrong.
I
hope I'm wrong.
I talked.
I don't know. I believe some of them will go back to sleep because some of them didn't want to get woke up. But there are a group of intelligent young people out there, not very many of them my age or your age. Most of the people my age or your age think just exactly like what you said. Things are the way they are. Don't mess with them. Go do your job. Keep your head down. Don't stir up anything.